Hey, dear beloveds. I'm starting this a couple of minutes early, just to give Facebook time to let everyone know that I'm live. I'm going to close that down. I'm here today in a slightly different capacity to how I thought I would be. And interestingly, since I made the decision to go live today to chat with you about this particular topic, the downloads have been coming thick and fast. So clearly this is what we were meant to be talking about. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity because it is a really, really interesting time in human history. And no doubt we will look back one day at this time and we will be able to see the blessing and the gift of it. But I want to kind of accelerate that process for those of you who are sacred leaders, for those of you who identify in that way or recognize that you play a role in your community to hold a particular vibration. People look to you to basically check in to see if they're safe in the world. If that is a role that you play in your community, then you are a sacred leader. And then there are those women that I train specifically, and the women who are on the path of sacred leadership in a very overt and public way. And at this time, my job is to train women as spiritual leaders. And right now, even if I have not personally trained you, I'm very happy to be here in support of you in this very, very big time. I was quite inspired by listening to Lisa Messenger yesterday, who is a leader, and to hear her understanding and take on COVID-19. So I'm trying to avoid using, the terms COVID-19 and coronavirus too much because I don't sort of want to give them precedence. But regardless of what is happening, it's the way that we respond to this critical time in human history that matters. And it is not business as usual. That's the first thing I want to say. This is not business as usual. So I would invite you to stop trying to make everything the way it was prior to this virus coming into the world, because it's not the world that we had before. And I want to tell you that's a very good thing. Often we'll try to pretend this sort of thing isn't happening, or to laugh it off, or to look away, or any of our strategies of avoidance, because the consequence of looking it squarely in the eye is terrifying, because we will need to acknowledge that life is rapidly changing and it's out of our control. That is our number one pet hate. We are largely control freaks, even if we don't recognize that quality in us. We like things to go a certain way, and we can handle a certain level of uncertainty. But ultimately, we are in a state of absolute uncertainty right now. So I am very, very much of the belief that this particular virus is not a pandemic that is going to take out millions of lives. It isn't about the virus, and I am not an expert. So the very first thing I want to encourage you as a sacred leader to do is find the experts that you trust, share their information with your communities, and don't listen to everybody else's opinion. So be very, very discerning about whose opinion on the medical aspects of this virus that you listen to, and be discerning about that, because what you receive in mainstream media is unlikely to be the highest quality material. So choose your experts, listen to their words, and share that information with your community. Don't buy into the fear-mongering, because as Lisa Messenger was sharing yesterday, this is the best time for the world's media that they've had in a long time. A global pandemic or thereabouts is clickbait. It's going to sell. And so there's an advantage to the world's media to represent this particular situation in the worst possible light. So please be very discerning about where you get your information. So that's the first thing I want you to do. And share wisely. Share the information that is accurate and going to support a deeper understanding of the situation we're in. That's all I'm going to say about the actual virus itself, because I am not a medical expert and it's not my job to talk about that. What I am interested in talking about is the paradigm shift that we're currently experiencing as a result of that external stimuli. And so we have an opportunity as sacred leaders to recognize that this is not business as usual, that there is a great up-leveling occurring in the collective human consciousness. how and why and what and wherefore of the actual virus is irrelevant. The cause or the effect on human consciousness right now is this massive chaotic injection of fear. And the chaos can be seen as a positive if we're willing to sit with the discomfort of it, if we're willing to look it in the face. Yes, we can laugh. Yes, we can kind of, make jokes. Yes, all the rest of it. But ultimately, we must come back to compassion, because people are behaving in certain ways, in that poverty mindset, in that lack mentality, because that is a reflection of the current human consciousness. There's poverty, there's lack, there's impoverishment at the level of community, at the level of soul, at the level of feeling nourished by the world. We are afraid. So our job as sacred leaders is to yes, we need to relieve our stress ourselves by being able to laugh in appropriate ways with the right people, but ultimately we need to have compassion for those who are in fear, and we need to be willing to do the damn work of sitting with the discomfort of knowing this is going to affect everybody. The real power of this particular event is that it is truly global. No one is outside of the impact of this. There is no one who has capacity to be more protected than anyone else. And of course, there are far more vulnerable people in our community who have a suppressed immunoresponse. But in general, this is a level playing field. Everybody is impacted, and we can see this as unlike anything that we've experienced, certainly in my recent, in the recent human history. So we must move into compassion as sacred leaders, and not sit in judgment, and not be critical, and not judge those who do not know the difference, because they have not got the tools that we have. The tools that we have is to know how to sit with the discomfort, and that is our job now. I have some notes here, so I'm just checking. We must practice. Now is the time we walk our talk. This is the time where all our devotion, all our commitment to knowing ourselves as infinite consciousness must be brought into action. We cannot be the ones that sit in the fear. If fear rises in you, as it did in me yesterday, I will be the first to admit it. I am here with you right now because I experienced this firsthand. Oh my God, I have this potential for this, as with everybody in the world, to cause chaos in the world that I live in the work that I do in the world, the way I deliver the work that I do in the world, and the ease of access to the women that I train. All of these things came up and kind of hit me in the face yesterday. So what is my task here? My task here is to get on board with meeting my fear. So my job is to sit with the discomfort of this is a new world order. This is paradigm shifting. We actually don't want things to go back to normal. I don't know if you noticed, but the world we had prior to coronavirus was also in a state of chaos, and there were many, many imbalances. There is certainly a sense that if we step up as sacred leaders at this time, and we lead our communities by demonstration, by sitting with the discomfort, meeting our fear, holding a higher possibility in the field, we can draw down that potential from the field right now to actually contribute to a new world order at a higher level of consciousness, this great big up-leveling of human consciousness. If we indulge our fears, if we do not take action, if we do not take personal responsibility for holding a higher vibration right now, which doesn't mean not feeling the fear, it simply means being willing to work with the fear, then we collapse everything back into the chaos that everybody else is feeling. This is the divine responsibility of being on the path of awakening at this time, is that you cannot pretend that you don't know what you know. If you can't walk your talk right now, your devotion means nothing. All those hours you spent on the mat or on the cushion or buying the books or buying the courses is meaningless. It's superficial retail therapy that was just designed to give you comfort when you weren't feeling great. This is the time where we must be radical. So the next step I would offer is double your devotion. Now is the time for you to double your commitment to holding the highest possible vibration and consciously meeting your fears. And that means, I have a lot of fear release tools that my fear huntresses, my graduates are trained in. And these are the women you want in your life right now. If you don't know how to work with fear, then you're at a great disadvantage. The only healing there is in the world is to work with our fear consciously and to bring it to the light. So lean into your tools of devotion, whatever they are for you. This morning when I went into my vinyasa 6 a.m. yoga practice, I was still feeling this unsettled energy in my heart. And we set the sankalpa, the intention at the start of the practice. And I just bowed down, full body on the floor, saying, okay, God, help me with this because it feels big and I'm not sure how to do it on my own. So I'm handing it over to you. I'm willing to let you guide me right now. And I came out of that vinyasa. I didn't think about it at all. Came out of the vinyasa and I was just so high. I walked out, the moon was huge. Gosh, that full moon just won't quit. She is glorious. And the sun was rising over here. And I just stood in the perfection of that moment and recognized that all of my fear was about future projection, because this is the next step, my darlings. I had forgotten to trust. It is my job to trust God right now, fiercely. It is my job to say, I don't know how this is going to work, but I am willing to sit in the discomfort of the unknown, because what I do know as a mystic is the void is where new life is created. And when the known becomes unknown and we move into chaos, that is the time for new growth, new potential, new paradigms, for up-leveling to occur. So I must be willing to sit in my own personal discomfort in order to do it on behalf of my community. Because if I'm like, I demand to know the answer, I have to see what the solution is, this has to be fixed, I can't exist with the discomfort of this chaos, then I am simply back in that fear puddle with everybody else. And that is my offer. That's how I am making myself available to the collective. And that is no good to anybody. My job is to sit with, I trust God. That's why it's tattooed on my arm. I trust you, God. I don't know how this is going to work out. I don't know the impact it's going to have on my family, on my business, on my life, on my finances, on my this, on my that. But I am willing to sit with the discomfort of the unknown, because that is the invitation right now. And I know that nothing has gone wrong. The other side of that is to see this current state of affairs as benevolent. Everything is benevolent. Everything is serving my awakening. This is serving my awakening. Okay. So I can't say, oh, this is bad. This is, conspiracy theory. This has been unleashed by this government or that government. It's a mind control experiment, blah, 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 blah. Fear is a mind control experiment, absolutely. But human life is a collective conscious experiment. We are here to raise our consciousness. That's the whole freaking point. This is the current invitation. How you're going to respond, where it came from, why it happened is absolutely irrelevant. It's how we choose to respond. What is the meaning of this? How can I work with this? What will I do with my pain? And you must be the demonstration of that now, dear sacred leader. So the other part of that I want to just briefly touch on is this idea from Simon Sinek, which is from his work, Leaders Eat Last, the idea of the circle of safety, this idea of who is in our circle of safety. And we talk about this in our sacred leadership module in the 3rd level. For us as sacred leaders, if we are adhering to the immutable laws, which we must do because they are the cosmic laws, all is one. So every single human being, every aspect of sentient life on this planet needs to be in my circle of safety. If I am trying to contain this and make sure my kids are safe, or that my school, the school they go to has got what they need, or, that my tiny little local community is going to be protected, which is a total illusion, then I'm doing my job. Now, there's nothing wrong with taking action at the local level, but we are one. There's only one of us here. This is one consciousness. So our prayers, our devotion, our meditations, our actions must be aware of and acting on behalf of that one mind. How may I contribute to the one mind? What is my offer? How am I consecrating and making an offer? My consciousness is serving that greater good. If I'm only thinking, how can I protect mine and lock things away? And that's what we're seeing when we see people panic buying. There is this absolute terror that theirs will not have enough. And there's no thought for what about the greater good? How will this impact the collective? And our actions in the world, as well as our actions on the map, must be reflected of that unity consciousness, that absolute truth that there is only one of us here. That this is it. This is our time to be unafraid. Even when your mum or your nana or your uncle or Joe down the street is saying, go and buy all the rice and all the toilet paper and all this, and we've got to lock away the things and build a bigger fence and get a bigger dog or buy a gun or whatever the bloody conspiracy theory or the zombie apocalypse fear that's circulating around you might be, you must be willing right now to let your actions be the demonstration of your faith. So you can't turn up online like this and like, everything's amazing and let's all be one, and then go out into the world and behave like one of those panicked people. You have better tools, okay? By the way, there are other ways to wipe your ass if you run out of toilet paper. It's absolutely fine. We all need to be like the Europeans and get B-days. So I just feel like that of all things is not the problem, but it is a symbol of our separation anxiety. It is a symbol of our fear. It is a symbol of a world in chaos. And right now we have a choice to contribute something greater to the field. Okay, so I'm almost done. I just wanted to say finally, what is the best antidote? It's touching on what I just said before. Take some action, all right? So right now, I invite you to do something that attests to your faith in the collective. Something that says to the world, I am not afraid of the state of the world. I know, like all things, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. So take some action to affirm your faith that not that everything will go back to normal, because we don't want that. We do not want things to go back to normal. That normal was not great. We want the new paradigm. So what can you do? What action can you take to invest in that new paradigm? Go buy an amazing coach's program. Go book a flight to Bali. Go on a retreat with someone that you've been wanting to practice with. Go do something to invest in your belief that this too shall pass. A new higher order is coming. Don't go into the contraction that the world is sort of inviting us to do, because if energy stops flowing, if monergy stops flowing, if we all go into contraction right now, that is where the true crisis will come, yes? So it's not in that there is a risk that people with immune repressed response may die, and that would be a terrible, terrible thing to happen. But that the real thing that will cause the chaos is if we all contract energetically, and that money as a form of expression of energy in the world is hoarded, just like toilet paper, or just, you see it in that analogy with toilet paper and rice and all those things that people are panic buying. But can you see it in your own actions? Where are you hoarding right now just in case things go really, really bad? And all that is going to happen in that case is everybody's businesses will collapse. As a sacred leader, let your actions be the demonstration. Invest in something that you've been meaning to invest in. Don't say, oh, well, I'll wait till the uncertainty's over. The uncertainty is created by our uncertainty. If I know there will be a period of time where things will be unknown, and that's absolutely fine. But, I bow down. I'm about to take 40 women to Bali. That's in like 6 weeks' time. And not one of them has said to me, I cannot do this, Ricky. I cannot come with you. Every single one of them is saying yes. And they're sharing the funny memes. And they may be feeling the fear, but they are fierce and they are showing up. And I will not put my community at risk. I understand what is needs to happen, and I understand that we will take the very best advice, and every day we're getting that advice and we're keeping our finger on the pulse. But it is absolutely their willingness to be unafraid right now that is holding a high vibration. And I am not going to sink my vibration down and stop sharing my energy. I'm not going to hoard my energy out of that lack mentality, that impoverishment mentality, which will only cause terrible, terrible chaos. Yeah, Shanae, 2 days ago, I just paid for the accommodation for your wedding, my darling, because that felt like really affirmative action. There was no way that I am not coming to that wedding. Nothing will stop me from being there. And by investing in the accommodation, I felt very strongly that I was affirming to God and to infinite consciousness that I have faith that this new order is coming. My actions can contribute to that new order. I can be part of that paradigm change. We are up-leveling as a human collective. My actions right now will determine the result of that up-leveling, and do not go into that hoarding, lack, fear mentality, because I guarantee that will be the fastest way for us to collapse everything for everyone around us. So keep letting energy flow from you and to you. You start hoarding and energy stops flowing to you. It is just the law. There is no way around this. So please, be mindful. This is not business as usual, but that does not mean it is time for you to panic. The apocalypse is not here. We are being offered an opportunity. A window is open. This is the silver lining to create a new paradigm. We don't want to go back to the old. It didn't work. It doesn't work. We have an opportunity when chaos is created for a new higher order to be birthed, and I want to lead that revolution, and I know you do too. And I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for you, my darling sacred leaders, because it is your demonstration right now that will determine how this revolution unfolds. Any questions, let me know. I'm going to be touching on this more in my free live training tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. I'll share the link. The Descent to the Underworld is the Path of the Sacred Leader. If the timing of that is not perfect, I don't know what is. Oh my goodness. I didn't mean to do that training. It was about a week or so ago when we announced it. And I said to Rachel, who was doing all my Facebook, I said, I've got to change our topic. We're doing the descent to the underworld as the path of a sacred leader. And it's like, okay, where'd that come from? And now I know. Now I understand. You know, leadership is not about what we do when everything's glorious. It's about what we do when things are scary as hell. And now is our time. So please join me. I'll share the link. You must register. It's going to be experiential. It's going to be powerful. I'm really freaking excited about it. So please join me. And all my fear huntresses, you just go fierce, my darlings. The world needs you. You just let the world be served by you right now. Go live, share your tools, help those who cannot help themselves because they never understood the true nature of fear. And we can do that. This is when we do this. This is when we walk our talk, okay? Do not be afraid, or when you fear that fear, go fearlessly towards it, because it's our job. Mwah. So much love to you all.